Hey, what's happening, guys? It's Tyler from Nintendo News Network, and today we're going to be talking about exactly why Nintendo's E3 sucked. And believe me, it's for a good reason. Okay, yes, it's finally time to talk about this Nintendo's 2015 E3. It was pretty bad. There were a lot of different games that were announced that we did not know previously existed. However, the games that we got were definitely not the games that we wanted. And the games that we are getting really didn't do anything good for Nintendo. Sure, it is known that Nintendo isn't hurting financially, but a recent financial report did come out and state that Nintendo is once again slightly operating on a loss. So Nintendo needs a big boost in purchases, which means they have to release the things that people want. And people are really disappointed that this year's E3 was just kind of them not trying at all. And a lot of people thought that this E3 was the signal that Nintendo was throwing in the towel. This is not the case. What is actually going on here seems to not want to be discussed. A lot of people want to be holding on to their Wii U's as long as possible and really can't face the fact that Nintendo is starting to phase out the Wii U. Shigeru Miyamoto himself talked about the flaws with the Wii U and moving forward the things that he would do differently. This means that if Nintendo's higher-ups are okay with talking about the bad market that the Wii U is in, that they already know a concrete idea on what they're going to be doing in the future. Now, with the passing of Satoru Iwata, there might be a change in terms of the plan that's going to be moving forward. It was very possible that Satoru Iwata had a very concrete idea on what he wanted to do with Nintendo's next console, the NX. Now that we know that either Takeda or Miyamoto is going to be taking over Nintendo, one of them might have slightly different ideas on what should be done in regards to Nintendo's next generation console. However, no matter what happens and how it's released, there are a few things that have to happen for the NX to be successful. There are two paths that Nintendo could take, and one of them is much more likely than the other. Nintendo could continue doing what they do, making their own type of video game hardware that really isn't more powerful than the current generation stuff it's competing against, but is there for the sole purpose of making people have fun. Nintendo, first and foremost, is about fun. Not story, not graphics, fun. Which is probably the route they're going to take with the NX, but with a slight skew into actually competing against the Xbox and PlayStation. The Xbox One and PlayStation 4 have only been out for a couple of years so far, and both Microsoft and Sony have stated that the hardware that we call the Xbox One and PlayStation 4 is going to be around for a long time. So Nintendo announcing a console in 2016, which is how we know they're going to go about announcing the console, they have a couple years to be able to wait for the hardware that's being manufactured into these systems to come down in price, which is very good. Nintendo can actually sell the NX with very close hardware as the PlayStation or Xbox at a much lower price tag. And to be honest, this is probably how Nintendo's going to go about doing it. They will probably slightly compete against the other two systems. They will probably make a system that is slightly less powerful than the other two systems and sell it at a significant lower price. There are a couple rumors going around on the internet regarding that the NX would be like $160. Now, although these rumors are completely unconfirmed, that's about what I'd expect Nintendo to do. Sell the system at a loss. Sell the system at a really big loss so that if somebody like a parent or a gamer walks into a store or sees it online, sees the price tag and just goes, yeah, why not, and buys it. That is probably one of Nintendo's strategies to be able to get the NX off the shelves faster. When the Wii U first launched, it was $350. That was because Nintendo was not operating on a loss. And the other reason why Nintendo wouldn't operate on a loss is they knew that the games were not going to be available for a couple of months. The launch titles of the Wii U was all people had to play up until LEGO Cities Undercover came out, and that wasn't even a first-party title. Many months had to pass before people actually got Wii U games worth buying post-launch titles. With the lower price tag, Nintendo would probably be able to convince third-party developers that this system would be much more successful just because of the lower price tag. And that means that this system will probably have the highest third-party support we've ever seen on a Nintendo console. The other really big thing that Nintendo is probably going to do is make E3 2016 the most exciting and big and amazing E3 they've ever done. I would not be surprised if for E3 2016 and the announcement of the NX they actually go about doing doing a stage show again. I would also not be surprised if this is the most Nintendo games announced at one conference at one time. It is very likely that the reason why we only saw Star Fox Zero, Super Mario Maker, Yoshi's Woolly World, and a couple other previously announced Wii U titles was because nobody else is working on new Wii U titles at this point. Most of Nintendo's developers that aren't already working on previously announced projects are working on games that people want for the NX. Nintendo's new system would have such a strong foot in the door if Nintendo was able to serve up most of their popular dormant IPs, along with a couple new ones, and a few games that we all really want. Now, this will all be a separate video in regards to the predictions I'll have on what new games will come out for the NX, but here's a couple things that have been happening that kind of point towards a certain game that'll be coming out. Metroid has been talked about as having a new console game. There is probably a new Metroid being developed for the NX, and Federation Force is just a holdover or tease, or just a reminder that Nintendo still realizes Metroid is a brand. Earthbound Beginnings shows that Shigesato Itoi is still working closely with Nintendo, and the unfortunate and unexpected passing of Satoru Iwata, and he was a very close friend of Shigesato Itoi, it is very possible we could get something Earthbound related for the NX as well. Whether or not that's an HD remastering of all three games, or maybe possibly a spin-off title, or a separate RPG, or just a brand new Itoi type game, could be very possible on coming out on the NX. I would also be very surprised if there wasn't a Super Mario Galaxy 3 or Super Mario Sunshine 2 as a launch title. At E3, if they announce something along those lines as the first game for the NX, that's a great starter. Immediately follow that with another Itoi game, amazing. And immediately follow that with the new Metroid game that we all want. Yeah, the NX is gonna do pretty well. Now, there are a couple other things that Nintendo possibly is going to do, including HD remasters of GameCube games, which they already have the software available to do such a thing, and bringing some dormant IPs back from the dead. Shigeru Miyamoto has spoken in the past regarding the future of the F-Zero series and how the NX might be the next new home for the future F-Zero title. And unfortunately, the next Zelda game will probably suffer from Twilight Princess syndrome, meaning we will still get it on the Wii U, and it will still be the definitive version of the game on the Wii U, but we probably will get an updated HD, better graphics looking version of the game on the NX. I don't want that to happen, but they've already done it in the past, and it was very successful for Nintendo when they did that. But yeah, to sum up all the little rumors and prediction melding that I'm doing right now in regards to Nintendo's future and why Nintendo's E3 sucked, is that Nintendo will probably release the NX in 2016. It'll be a significantly lesser price than what the Xbox One or PlayStation 4 already has, and the games that will launch with it will be the best Nintendo launch titles we've ever seen. And the Wii U was a great learning experience for Nintendo in programming in HD. Yes, it's pretty bad that the whole $300 system is going to fail after 4 years, but to be honest, we all saw it coming after about a year. So if you have any predictions or any ideas on what's going to be happening with Nintendo in the future, leave it down in the comment section below. I'll be sure to read all of them. And thanks for watching, guys. As you know, I'm Tyler McVicker. This is Nintendo News Network. If you want to check out my live streams, go down in the description of my Twitch page, and if you want to join my Steam group and find out anything that I'm doing at any time, once again, link is down in the description. Thanks for watching, guys. Adios.